Okay, rational equation is just an equation involving a rational expression. When you look at this, especially if you've done the homework that's going to be due, you're going to want to just put all this over common denominator of x plus 3. Don't do that. As I've told you since the beginning of the course, when you got a denominator, multiply both sides by the denominator. If you've got more than one denominator, multiply by a common denominator, preferably the least common denominator, okay? If you use a bigger common denominator, it still works, but you've got more work to do, okay? So, this is so important. Okay, we multiply by common denominator. So we multiply by x plus 3. Now formally we multiply both sides by the common denominator. And you also write out that x cap equal negative 3 Now say you can't multiply both sides by 0. Well, you certainly can. You're going to get 0 equals 0 and lose all your information. You're not going to get a solution, okay? We're just saying that x equals negative 3 can't be a solution because this denominator is defined if x equals negative 3. Its denominator is 0 if x equals negative 3, and this division then isn't defined. Okay, well, we understand that multiplied every term by x minus 3, right? X plus 3, okay? Now, just be careful, you know, I don't think anybody in here really needs that one, but it's a good idea to write it out anyway. And some people that might be watching the video really do need that one. Many students do. Okay, so we multiply this out, and that's going to give us this, because if we multiply the numerators here, we get the same thing as if we multiply the numerators here. And if we multiply the denominators here, we get the same things if we multiply the denominators, so that this expression is identical to this one. And the rest of this is easy. Multiplying x plus 3 by x times x is x squared, x times 3 is 3x, x times 7 is 7x, 3 times 7 is 21. And now this is just 1 times x minus 4. Okay, so how are we going to solve this? Don't say it. We got the camera on. But you might try to get all your x's on one side and all your numbers on the other side, which is what you do if you have a linear equation, right? But this isn't a linear equation. You got the x squared. Okay? So I'm going to make a big point of this. This is a quadratic equation. How do you solve a quadratic equation? You get 0 on one side, put everything else on the other, and then see what you got. Well, the equation's gonna be, you've got an x squared. X and 3x makes 4x. I'm not gonna write out all the details because I don't have room. So you subtract 7x from both sides and you get negative 3x. And then you got minus 4 and minus 21, so that's minus 25. If I did that right, and I've got all my terms, there we have them. Okay? You can't factor that. So x equals the negative of negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 25 all over 2 times 1. And that's going to equal 3/2. This multiplies out to 100, and that's 9. That's 109. Say half, 3/2 plus or minus square root of 109 over 2. Main point, when you do this, you're not necessarily going to get a linear equation, even though things are kind of feeling linear at a certain point. As soon as you've got an x squared, you know it's not linear, and you're either going to have to solve it by factoring or the quadratic formula, okay? And you got to put it in this form to do either, okay? Always, a quadratic has to be in this form. Now, you could get an x cubed, in which case you're stuck trying to factor the thing, okay? If you got an x cubed and then a number on the end without an x, you're stuck trying to factor it. And you might or might not be able to do that. Okay, so just an example of a rational equation to give you a little head start. Get your mind working on it. That shouldn't confuse you about anything that we did earlier.